Imagine a palace where gold lines the walls, incense veils the air, and power pulses behind every curtain. But behind this royal grandeur hides something far more sinister, a throne not of justice, but of vice. At the heart of it lies a king whose name history dares not honor, only remember. His reign was not marked by glory or triumph, but by the cries of the powerless and the silence of the complicit. This is the story of Ferdinand VII of Spain, a monarch born into privilege, consumed by lust, and remembered as one of the most perverse and destructive rulers in European history. From a cruel childhood to a reign soaked in corruption, abuse, and betrayal, his life was a cautionary tale of what happens when unchecked power falls into the hands of a man ruled not by duty, but by desire. You will witness his rise through shadows, his empire's decay, and his grotesque fall into madness. This is not a tale of nobility. This is the descent of a king who wore a crown and used it to destroy everything beneath it. You are dying. It's September 29th, 1833, and silence hangs like a shroud over the royal palace of Madrid. You lie in your grand chamber, but there is nothing regal about your condition. At just 48 years old, your body has become a battlefield of infection and decay, ravaged by syphilis, an unspeakable end to a life dominated by unspeakable desires. Groans echo through the corridors, a haunting soundtrack to your final moments. Around you, doctors scramble, applying poultices and desperate treatments to the ulcers eating through your flesh. None of it works. The irony is vicious. You, the self-declared guardian of Catholic morality, are being devoured from the inside by the sins you so openly indulged in. But how did you, Ferdinand VII, King of Spain, reach this point? How did a prince born into power become a monarch so reviled that your death is met with relief, not mourning, to understand that we must go back to the beginning? It is October 14th, 1784. You are born into the House of Bourbon, son of Charles IV, and Maria Luisa of Parma. Spain is still a mighty empire, but the palace into which you enter is no place of virtue. Your mother, Queen Maria Luisa, is infamous for her affairs, especially with Manuel Godoy, the man who soon becomes the real power behind the throne. It is in this shadowed court of whispers and betrayal that you are raised, where power is traded in bedrooms and loyalty is a fleeting commodity. By age 10, it's clear something isn't right with you. Servants whisper of your cruelty, how you torture cats for entertainment, how you humiliate those beneath you for your own amusement. Tutors try to discipline you, guide you, mold you into a worthy heir. But you are no ordinary child. You want power, you want control, and you want pleasure, always more pleasure. Tutors who push back are dismissed, sent away like pawns removed from the board. Your education is a farce. While other royal children are groomed in diplomacy, philosophy, and statecraft, you have no such interests. You despise books, mock the arts, and scoff at political discourse. What does fascinate you, however, are the hidden chambers and secret peepholes within the palace. You order holes to be drilled into walls so you can spy on the intimate moments of courtiers, your voyeurism a dark reflection of the perversions to come. At 18 in 1802, you marry your cousin Maria Antonia of Naples. On paper, it's a strategic alliance designed to calm your impulses and stabilize your image. But your demons are not so easily restrained. Behind the palace doors, you subject your young bride to horrific sexual abuse. She, a devout and cultured woman, withdraws into herself, avoiding you at every turn. The marriage becomes a prison from which she cannot escape. Soon you realize the crown gives you more than immunity, it gives you impunity. You begin to manipulate the court's women with threats and coercion. Nobles watch helplessly as their wives and daughters are summoned to your chambers, knowing that refusal means ruin. You particularly enjoy seducing married women. It isn't just lust, it's dominance. You revel in making their husbands powerless, in watching proud men bow to you while their homes fall apart behind closed doors. When Maria Antonia dies in 1806 at just 21, the official cause is tuberculosis. But those closest to the palace whispered darker theories, heartbreak poisoning, or the inevitable result of your endless abuse. You don't grieve. You simply smirk and declare yourself free to enjoy life once more. By 1808, Spain is in chaos. Napoleon has invaded and the nation braces for war. But you, Ferdinand, see opportunity. During the mutiny of Aranjuez, your father is forced to abdicate, and rather than rallying your people, you crawl to Napoleon in secret. You offer him the kingdom if he promises you safety and personal gain. In Bayonne, you beg before the French emperor, offering anything to stay in power. Napoleon, who has dealt with kings of all kinds, finds you repulsive. He calls you the most vile creature ever to wear a crown. You are sent into exile at the Château de Valençay, but it's no prison for you. It becomes your playground. While your people suffer under French occupation, you throw lavish feasts, surround yourself with prostitutes, and infect yourself with your first venereal disease. Your letters, intercepted by spies, speak of nothing but your endless appetite for flesh and fantasy. You are a monarch, in name a parasite in truth. Then, in 1814, Napoleon falls, and you return to Spain. The people cheer your name, believing you will restore order. But what they receive is tyranny. Your first decree is to restore the Inquisition not for faith, but for fear. You use heresy as a weapon. Accusations become tools of blackmail. Women are told they can avoid punishment if they submit to your desires. Your second marriage in 1816 is even more grotesque than the first. Isabella of Braganza, a 19-year-old Portuguese princess, is essentially traded for political favor. You are now 32, jaded and consumed by lust. What you inflict upon Isabella is beyond cruelty. The palace transforms into your personal brothel, where appointments are made not for governance, but gratification. You create a system of rewards for submission. Ministers are chosen not for intelligence, but for the beauty of their sisters or wives. You form an informal harem of ladies-in-waiting who exist solely for your pleasure. Secret reports hidden for centuries later reveal your horrific tastes, sadism, public humiliation, staged rituals meant to break spirits and command obedience. When Isabella dies in 1818, again under mysterious circumstances, the signs of physical trauma are impossible to ignore. Her confessor speaks years later of her desperate wish to escape you even through death. You, of course, barely acknowledge her passing. You marry again within the year. Maria Josepha Amalia of Saxony is your next victim. She's just 20, delicate, naive. The marriage lasts barely 2 years before she too dies. By now the pattern is undeniable. Spain watches in stunned silence as queen after queen falls beneath your cruelty. But your appetite only grows. You are now in your 40s, and your appetite has only sharpened with age. Spain, once a proud empire, is collapsing under the weight of revolution, war, and economic disaster. But you, Ferdinand, are blind to it all. You are not a king concerned with law or justice. You are a predator ruling over a crumbling kingdom as if it were your private domain. By the 1820s, your palace has transformed into something closer to a bordello than a court. Dozens of mistresses come and go, many of them forced, blackmailed, or coerced. You do not discriminate young girls, noblewomen, even nuns, especially nuns. There is a particular thrill for you in corrupting those who once vowed chastity. You make promises of safety, of security, of favors, then use those same promises to bend them to your will. And if they resist you, threaten their families, or worse, brand them heretics, and let the Inquisition do the rest. You become obsessed with virgins. Whispers spread through the streets that you offer rewards for any girl untouched. Desperate families, starving, broken by war and famine, sell their daughters into your hands, choosing shame over starvation. Some mothers hope their daughters will catch your favor and escape poverty. Most learn too late that favor with you comes at the cost of dignity, sanity, and sometimes life. The court becomes a circus of depravity. You institutionalize corruption. Public offices are now traded like coins, not for competence, but for what you can extract in return. A man's position depends on the beauty of his wife or sister. Ministers are chosen by the shape of their daughters' faces, not the sharpness of their minds. Within the palace, you maintain what can only be called a harem. Officially, these women are ladies-in-waiting. In truth, they are prisoners. Each day, they are dressed, perfumed, and presented to you. Each night, they are summoned without warning. Many are sent away broken. Others never leave. What happens behind those closed doors is unfit even for rumor. But the rumors persist. That you force your victims to perform acts so humiliating that even your courtiers avert their eyes. That you demand audiences watchers for your own sick amusement. That you delight not in love, but in degradation. And when the women die, because many do you remain unmoved. By 1829, you've burned through 3 wives, countless concubines, and what remains of your country's dignity. Spain is a shadow of its former self. The colonies in the Americas, once the jewel of your empire, are gone. Independence movements you could have negotiated with years earlier are now full-blown revolutions. Venezuela, Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, gone one by one. The empire has bled out while you entertained yourself with flesh and fantasy. But now something changes. Not within your soul, no, that's long since rotted, but within your body. The price of your indulgence has finally come due: syphilis. The doctors whisper at first in private, then speak of it more openly when the ulcers begin to appear. First, they're small, discreet. Then they spread. Across your back, your groin, your face. You wear heavy perfumes, thick makeup, velvet gloves, anything to hide the rot beneath. But it isn't just your skin that's decaying. Your mind begins to slip. You forget names. You repeat yourself. You speak to people who aren't there. And yet, you marry again, for a 4th time. Her name is Maria Cristina of Bourbon, 2 Sicilies. She's 23 years old, poised, cautious, but unaware of the full nightmare she is walking into. You are 45. Your body is failing. Your breath carries the stench of disease. Your hands tremble. Your eyes twitch. Still, you insist on an heir, a last chance at legacy. Maria Cristina is the only one of your wives to survive you, not because you have changed, but because the disease has changed you. Syphilis has weakened you so badly that even your cruelty is blunted. You are no longer feared, only pitied. The tyrant has become a shell. The palace grows cold. Visitors dwindle. You smell of decay. Servants begin to avoid your room. Even your physicians look away when they tend to your sores. Those who once trembled at your command now whisper behind closed doors, "Let him die." By 1833, you are a ghost haunting your own palace. You can no longer walk. You cannot write. You barely speak. The man who once demanded constant entertainment, endless women, and absolute obedience now lies in bed helpless and foul. The sores are everywhere. Your groans echo through the halls, not as commands, but as cries of pain. Maria Cristina does not love you. How could she? But she stays. Not for you, but for the crown. She is no fool. She knows that when you die, her daughter Isabella will be the next monarch. And in this broken kingdom, a queen child will need protection. Your former lovers are gone. Some died, some escaped, some took their own lives. Your enemies live on, stronger, wiser, eager to see you fall. Spain does not weep for you. It has wept too long already. On September 29, 1833, your breathing grows shallow. Your hands are cold. Your lips dry. You are alone. Your courtiers don't rush to your side. The women who once lined up for your attention now recoil at the thought of your name. Even your doctors hesitate to touch you. Then silence. The man who devoured Spain has finally been devoured himself from the inside out. No fanfare, no mourning, only the quiet relief of a nation freed from your grip. You die as you lived, consumed by lust, rotting in power, and abandoned in shame. You are dead. The news spreads through Madrid like a cool wind after a suffocating storm. September 29th, 1833. The day the reign of terror ends. The palace once echoing with your demands and the cries of your victims is finally quiet. No state of mourning is declared beyond what protocol requires. There are no sincere tears, only formal expressions of grief read from scripts. The courtiers breathe easier. The servants walk lighter. The city does not weep. Your body, ruined and grotesque, lies in its golden casket. The room is filled with incense not for sanctity, but to mask the stench of rot. Death did not dignify you. It revealed you. The sores, the emaciation, the broken mind, your final form was not that of a king, but of a warning. The funeral is held with royal pomp as tradition demands. Priests speak of redemption. Officials speak of legacy. But no one believes it. Behind closed doors, they speak truth. The predator is gone. The predator who wore a crown. And what remains? A daughter, a child. Isabella, born of Maria Cristina, the only one of your wives to outlive your torment. At barely 3 years old, she inherits your shattered throne. You have left her nothing but a crown of ash, a bankrupt treasury, a divided nation, an empire lost. Spain, once a mighty empire that ruled continents, is now fractured and crumbling. The American colonies are gone. The military is weak. The court is corrupt. The people are angry. While other European nations look toward progress, Spain clings to shadows because that is what you made it. Your obsession with power, your lust for domination, your decades of cruelty, they all fed into a single result: regression. You dragged your kingdom backward, drowning it in your own depravity. You used the monarchy not as a duty, but as a mask for indulgence. You believed divine right meant divine immunity. You were wrong. In your 2 decades of rule, you managed to achieve what few kings ever have. You became universally hated. Not for politics alone, but for who you were, what you were. History doesn't remember you as a leader. It remembers you as a warning. Later generations would look back and shudder. Scholars would study your letters, your edicts, your secret files, and find nothing but disgrace. Hidden court documents would surface recounting the horrors in chilling detail, the names of victims, the rituals, the favors, the abuses, the suicides, the cover-ups. They would see a man who reigned not with vision, but with vice. A man who confused desire with destiny, who treated women as currency, who punished virtue and rewarded corruption. And yet for all your cruelty, you were fragile. Every pleasure was a shield. Every woman you destroyed, every servant you humiliated, every enemy you crushed, each was just another stone in the wall you built around your fear. Fear of being irrelevant. Fear of being weak. Fear of being forgotten. But you won't be forgotten. No, your name will remain in textbooks, in whispered tales, in the dark corners of history where lessons are carved from pain. You were not Ferdinand the Brave, nor Ferdinand the Builder. You were Ferdinand the Despised. Your legacy is not monuments or victories. It is a broken court, shattered families, and a kingdom that had to rise from the ashes you left behind. And still the world moved on. Maria Cristina, a widow before her time, becomes regent for young Isabella. She navigates the chaos you left with more courage than you ever showed. She fends off Carlist pretenders who use your death as an excuse to seize the throne. Civil war erupts. Blood is spilled. All because you never prepared a stable succession. You lived for yourself, and Spain paid the price. Your enemies wrote books. Your allies disappeared. Your mistresses faded into legend. And your daughter, poor innocent Isabella, grew up in the shadow of your sins, bearing the burden of your name. Centuries later, tourists will walk through the royal palace of Madrid. They'll gaze at the chandeliers, the portraits, the gold-lined chambers. Few will remember what truly happened in those rooms. Fewer still will know the full depth of your depravity. But some will. The historians, the archivists, the truth seekers. They'll find your story. They'll trace the documents, follow the whispers, and see what lies beneath the silk. They will see the real you, the boy who tortured animals, the prince who humiliated women, the king who let an empire fall while he burned behind velvet curtains, the man who died screaming, covered in sores, surrounded by no one. And perhaps that is your final punishment, not oblivion, but memory. Not silence, but legacy. You were not born a monster. You chose to become one. And for all the power you stole, for all the lives you ruined, in the end you died as every tyrant dies, alone, unloved, and condemned by history. Spain survived you, but it never forgot you.